To other breaking news, we're following. At least 12 people are dead, including a suspect shooter, after a horrific terror attack at a Hanukkah party in Sydney, Australia. This is the worst attack on the Jewish community since October 7th.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst is here with the very latest. Trey, good morning. What are you hearing?
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. There's been a terrorist attack in Sydney, Australia at Bondi Beach. Authorities say at least 12 people were killed and 29 others wounded. We are getting the first initial comments from Australia's Prime Minister, who said this.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith. An act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation.
We know that 2 gunmen opened fire on crowds of Jews who were at a Hanukkah event along the beach. Local police released a statement saying, quote, 2 people are in police custody at Bondi Beach. However, the police operation is ongoing and we continue to urge people to avoid the area. Please obey all police directions. Do not cross police lines. Authorities have updated that statement to say that one of the attackers is dead. This event was scheduled to start at 5 p.m. local time in Sydney and was advertised as an event for all ages with music, games, and fun. One man described what he saw just a few meters away from where the shooting took place.
The whole shop just stood up and we all just ran into the back exit and everyone was pushing everyone. There was no semblance and we just ran in through.
We are getting statements from Israeli ministers and Israel's prime minister who said that anti-Semitism is a cancer spreading around the world. Israel's foreign minister Gideon Sa'ar said this in a statement, quote, I'm appalled by the murderous shooting attack at a Hanukkah event in Sydney, Australia. These are the results of the anti-Semitic rampage in the streets of Australia over the past 2 years, with the anti-Semitic and inciting calls of globalize the Intifada that were realized today. The Australian government, which received countless warning signs, must come to its senses. We have heard that from multiple Israeli officials, that there were warnings given through intelligence channels from the Israeli officials here in Tel Aviv to Australian officials in Sydney, and clearly some of those warnings were not taken as this attack took place today, claiming the lives of 12 innocent individuals. Guys.
All right. Thank you, Trey.
Thank you, Trey.
Earlier, the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, spoke to reporters and talked about the importance of protecting the Jewish community at this time. This is what he had to say.
The evil that was unleashed at Bondi Beach today is beyond comprehension, and the trauma and loss that families are dealing with tonight is beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Australians have had their lives cruelly stolen and many have been injured. For all Australians, our first thoughts are with those in the terrible early hours of their grief. We are also thinking of everyone being treated for their injuries, and many of whom are alive right now because of the courage and quick action of the New South Wales Police and the first responders who rushed to their aid, as well as the courage of everyday Australians who, without hesitating, put themselves in danger in order to keep their fellow Australians safe. We have seen Australians today run towards danger in order to help others. These Australians are heroes, and their bravery has saved lives. In this moment of darkness, we must be each other's light. Hold on to the true character of the country that we love. Australia is stronger than the cowards who attacked innocent people today. Australia is braver than those who seek to make us afraid. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred. We will see justice done, and we will come through this together.
So obviously, for our viewers waking up, a tragic shooting, 12 dead in Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, the busiest beach in all of Sydney and in one of the biggest surfing beaches, but just families go there. You've been there, Rachel, and a tragedy like this, and you see the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, there talking about, worrying about people of faith in this case. the rise of anti-Semitism that appears to have led to this act of terror, as he calls it. And as we are going to tonight stand with our fellow Jewish Americans as they begin Hanukkah tonight. It began last night at this event in Bondi. That's why so many Jews were there for a lighting of Hanukkah celebration on Bondi Beach. You know, it's so important that we had Yael Eckstein on, the head of the International Fellowship for Christian and Jews. She's talking about, you know, at the end of the day, yet again, we see these things, but it is the light that you have to hold on to, our faith we have to hold on to in these moments. I think we have a little bit of that interview with Yael, if I could play that.
It's a wake-up call, especially now on this first night of Hanukkah, when we're called to bring light to darkness. It's a reminder that terror doesn't stop in America or in Europe or in Australia. It's not only targeting the Jews, it's also targeting the Christians. That the answer to this darkness is light. And during this holiday season with Hanukkah and Christmas, it's something that Jews and Christians are bringing together, that light to the public square of saying, Hineni, here I am, that biblical call. I will not be afraid. I will not cower. I will stand up and take action to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and do it in the name of this loving God that we believe and we know is here holding us up.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that's shocking about, and by the way, her message is really beautiful, and I'm really glad that we made time for something positive amidst all this bad news. We see what happened in Boston. We see what happened in Australia. Australia has really strict, probably one of the strictest gun laws in the world, Charlie. And we see that these laws aren't always able to protect people the way that I think people hope that they would.
Yeah, indeed. And earlier we mentioned the video that is circulating on social media. We've not felt comfortable running that yet. We're still looking to confirm all of it. But it does show a bystander crouching down between two cars and waiting for the shooter to look in the other direction, apparently firing on people on the beach in Bondi, and then racing up and, of course, risking his own life to disarm the shooter. And then there was a second shooter who was taken out some distance away that appears to be the one that was probably killed. The one that actually got the gun wrestled away from him, it appears to be the one that probably is still being held right now. Police there saying that that the terror threat is still probable, meaning that there's a 50-50 chance that they expect more to happen, although the two shooters at this event have been either neutralized or detained.
Yeah, and, you know, that's an important point because you did see the Prime Minister Albanese praising some bystanders. We don't know if it's exactly that video, but the fact that the country remains on probable threat level, 50% or better of another attack, led to questions during that press conference about whether or not Albanese's government has done enough to combat the rise of anti-Semitism. And you step back and open up the aperture a little bit, you look at the rise of anti-Semitism that's led to violence not only in Australia, tragically, as we reported on it this morning, but in Washington, D.C., the two young people killed at the Jewish Museum, out in Colorado, where even a Holocaust survivor was amongst those that were attacked. And so it's putting back in light, back into focus on literally the day that Jews around the world will begin celebrating Hanukkah, another attack. It's going to lead, I think, to a much larger conversation about whether or not any country, and in this case, the spotlight's on Australia, is doing enough to combat the rise of anti-Semitism.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.